Welcome back. You're still watching Daybreak on this 16th day of September 2025. And we were having that conversation about the many pledges and commitments that are being made at the lawns of State House. Mheshimiwa Mboko, there were a few issues that are pending because I want us to transition to the pledges on housing.
Okay.
So first of all, so 10,000 teachers, how did you pick the list?
Very well. In fact, that gives me a chance to explain a little bit more. One, I'm disappointed that leaders will be worried that teachers went to State House. That should be something we should forget about, because teachers have a right to even visit State House. Number two, the teachers who visit State House were 10,000. Calculated, that is 2% of the teachers. You can try that for size if you wish. And that is a very small percent. You know, teachers are a massive team of employment. Number three, the teachers who went to State House were leaders. All of them leaders. When KNUT calls its ADC, it's 2,000 plus. When Kupet calls its ADC, it's another 2,000 plus. And then we have Kesha. And then we have KEPSHA. And then we have the special school union. So basically...
So when I look at SNAT and Kupet, that gives you about 4,000.
Wait a minute.
Still a balance of 6,000.
Wait a minute. All the teachers who are there are actually leaders. And those are the people you'll meet in your constituency speaking in every other forum. Those were secretaries of branches. Those who were chairmen of branches. Those who are officials of the unions. Those are the teachers who were State House. So I wanted to, one, look at the going and then the number and the percentage.
Branches of?
Number two, number three.
Just hold on.
No, I will forget this one. We used to have the old Greek model of representation. In the beginning of democracy, everybody presented his views. But because of numbers, leaders started taking over. Check our constitution in its earliest chapters. We only represent the people. So when you take 2% to go and represent 500,000, I don't think that requires a very big discussion.
How many teachers do you have in the country?
Over 500,000. Are you doubting that? You just look at the TTSC numbers.
It's not that high.
It used to be 300,000, now it's over 5.
It's not 500,000, but I'll check the figure.
We can check with Teacher Service Commission. So the percent that went to State House, 2%, and that's what we want to cry about. That was even minimal. It's just that there was no space. Then come to the issue of the gains. The gains are spoken about. But let me now specifically talk about the hardship allowance. Hardship allowance was presented to Parliament by the Prime Cabinet Secretary. And Honorable, thank you for raising that. Because I was also very, very stern on the point of teachers losing the hardship. And in State House, that was part of the memorandum that we took there. It may have not gotten your eye, but it's part of it. But again, so much had happened behind the doors. We had gone to court against it. And also even the circular that was supposed to effect, you can look in my eyes, had already been shelved. That was to effect the reduction of the areas of hardship allowance. And therefore, our teachers are not going to be affected by those deductions. We were very much against it. We thank you for your support. Mbui is one of the greatest supporters of teachers, and we are happy that that has been shelved. It's also in court, and it was part of the memorandum. So something was seriously happened about it. And then you took a lot of time with Honorable discussing importation of maize. And then I said, what's this? When you allow your money to go and import maize from outside, whether it is attracting tax or no tax, you are not doing well economically. For you to import everything, you need the dollar. You can look in my eyes again. And to get that dollar, you are affecting the reserves of your country in order to import. So countries that do well are countries that import less and export more. And that's why you call about balance of trade.
So the question I had asked her...
So I thought I should just deal with that from an economics point of view.
It's okay for your clarification. The question I had asked is, how will you get the resources to finance all these commitments, knowing that already the country is training with 28% of revenue going to finance education? That's the question I was asking.
Okay, that's a different question. Thank you. But I made my clarification.
Do you have an answer to it?
Come up.
Do you have an answer to it, where you're going to get that money from?
Well, not immediately, because when it comes to division of revenue and matters affecting how we shall gain resources.
Yeah.
It means Parliament must be involved wholesomely, and then we must build the economy bigger, the macro way, so that we get more resources. We must do savings. We must deal with corruption to avoid wastages. Possibly, those would be
So, you know those commitments during that meeting, was there any calculation on how much it's going to cost to implement them?
In many times, and many times, the president referred to costing, and he referred to various organs and people to do costing. For instance, TAC was severally told to go and do the costing for CBA. And I remember the ministry was also asked to go and do costing for the tax centers. And I remember Meli, who was there, the chair of education, was also asked to do some task. Yep. So indeed, possibly later on, we can actually give you the costing of what it is, because it's something we can calculate.
Okay.
For instance, if you wish, to get the implication of CBA, to break it to two phases, that would mean it was about 30 billion, and 8.6 has already been spent. So you subtract 8.6 from 30, and then divide, what remains is what's required. Those are calculations that can be done.
Okay, so clearly the question of money was not done. It should have to be done by other institutions. I would like to hear how that will be executed. But at the same time, there has been all those pledges about the housing units. Listen to what the president committed to the delegation from Kisii and Kiambu counties.
We are going to build 10,000 units in Kisii town, so that you begin to internalize how Kisii town is going to look when you see Mukuru. Tumeweka kujenga hostels ambayo I will come in the course of next month or the month after kuzianzisha 9,040 units ambayo itapatia nafasi ya watoto wenu. Tumeweka another 4.5 billion. A total, kwa hiyo program tatu, a total of 40 billion shillings katika Kiambu County.
So for context, beyond what the president has promised there, he told the delegation from Kisii, or Gusii region, that there would be 30 billion shillings for affordable housing in Kisii County. That is about 15,000 units. For Kiambu County, there will be a similar allocation, 30 billion shillings for 15,000 units. For Murang'a County, there will be 23 billion shillings for 10,300 units. For Nyamira, it's supposed to receive about 7,000 affordable housing units. Let me begin with you on this one, Mheshimiwa Mushomba. Because you sat in the House when the laws were being made. You do quick math, you get to close to 100 billion shillings committed in actually 3 meetings with delegations from the counties. How do you achieve that?
First of all, Sam, allow me to just categorically state that I get very conflicted when I see the president tackling matters that are supposed to be tackled in Parliament, in State House, through those delegations. And members of Parliament sit there, and all they do is take instructions from the presidency inside State House on matters that are supposed to be debated and handled on the floor of the House. That's number one. Number two, I think I said that the president is very popular with commitments. He's very, very vocal, very, very experienced when it comes to, committing himself with figures, which eventually does not come to fulfillment. When I see him say that he's going to do 15,000 new units in Kiambu County, and in a month or so he's coming to launch, I laugh. You know why I laugh? Because he has done that in the past, and he has come to launch projects which are stalled now. The last time he appeared in my constituency in Githunguri, he came with a lot of force to launch a market. And he actually launched a market. And the day he left, the contractor left. To date, the foundation stone that he laid is still there. Not an inch moved.
What is the name of the market?
Githunguri Market, town market. He came there with a delegation. I'm sure you all know. I was not even allowed to leave my house then. You remember what happened to me? And then 3 months down the line, the market has not moved an inch, And now he's collecting the same people he lied to from Githunguri to deliver them in State House and promise again. And you want me to believe him? It becomes very difficult to believe William Ruto. So what he's doing in State House is actually politics. I cannot believe that he's going to do anything because he has not been able to do what he had already committed himself. The many times he has promised us to finish that market, the many times, if I remember, I think there are 9 times, when he has stood in Githunguri and pointed at that market and said, I am finishing this market. 9 times. Not by phone, not via television, but physically present. So if he cannot deliver a market, for heaven's sake, how do you want me to believe him that is going to do 15,000 housing units? And for heaven's sake, if you asked me, for example, in Githunguri, what is our need in Githunguri right now? Our need in Githunguri is for him, first of all, to finish the aggregation center, which he started, which is currently stalled. He started an aggregation center, committed to do and it was started. It is now stalled. It is not completed. So before he jumps from the aggregation center, which is stalled, markets that are stalled, roads that are stalled, why can't he first of all finish those that are stalled? And then he can now come and tell us, gentlemen and ladies, I've completed this project. Now can we start on embarking on the new housing units? You understand? So for me, I think the president is just playing politics with these all promises. And like I said, it is just an accumulation of what he had committed. The 270 commitments I talked about, pre-election commitments. Out of those, only 14 of his commitments are fulfilled. 270. And every day he has a delegation from Kisii, he adds on those commitments. A delegation from Kiambu, he adds on this commitment. But let me ask you a question. When I hear him talk about billions, he's talking about how many billions? 30 billion that is going to pump into Kiambu? I wonder, where is this money? When our loan card is at 12 trillion. Where is he going to get this money from?
He has said there are some 600 billion shillings he's been able to get from local sources without having to borrow.
Yes. Oh, okay. So we have a lot of money to spend on this. You believe him?
I mean, it's not about me.
You believe him, yet the papers are... Then the papers are telling us that he's planning to re-engage World Bank and IMF to get a fresh loaning.
Okay.
Structure.
Having challenges with your microphone, we will correct it shortly.
Sorry. Yes.
But Mheshimiwa Kitani, you had that clip that we played just before the break about 600 billion shillings that we've been able to gather. And perhaps that's what is being shared in this 30 billion shillings for Kiambu, 30 billion for Kisii, 23 billion shillings for Murang'a County. Is that realistic, really?
Thank you. First and foremost, I think we need to appreciate the roles of each arm of government.
Yeah.
The executive, its role is to execute. Its role is to implement. And Parliament is to appropriate money. That is what Parliament does. However, how do we start a budgeting process? The budgeting process starts with the executive. Mm-hmm. The executive are the ones that will come with what you call a budget policy statement to say, this is the direction we want to implement. This is what we think we need to do. They come to Parliament and say, this is what we need to do. We approve the budget policy statement all the way to finally approving the estimates that they give us. And in those estimates, we can say where you have estimated we are moving this money from here to here. So fast forward to the promises the president is giving in State House. Yep. Those promises are actually in the budget. Those promises are actually things that were passed in the previous budget and they are going for implementation. He has talked about 600 billion raised in this country. Remember, me and you, who are employees, are taxed monies for housing. Yes. And we pay a percentage of, I think it's about 1.5% to the housing agenda. For the money collected so far, from the time the housing levy started to now, the total so far collected is 600 billion. And out of that, we in Parliament, during appropriated that money to the projects that he's talking about that are already being undertaken. I'm surprised to hear that the market in Githunguri is not being constructed, because I know in many other areas, my constituency, for example, the markets that were designed are already actually being implemented. There is some that are in the budget of this year, and I'm expecting advertisements to happen in the very soon. I think the delay was because of the e-procurement issue that was the executive was grappling with. But I'm expecting aside, the procurements to start. But what I am trying to say is that all these issues the president is talking about are actually in the budget. We can actually pick out the budget of this financial year.
Mheshimiwa Kitani, you said that since housing levy started, you have collected 600 billion shillings. Please break it down for me. I
can't break it down because I don't have the exact figures here, but I will
When did the housing levy start?
2024.
In the month of March, after the passage of the law.
Last year, up to now.
So March to now is how many months? It's 12 plus inclusive of August.
About 19 months?
Yes, we can call it 18 months.
20 months, yeah.
So 18 months.
18 months.
For you to collect 600 billion shillings, how much do you need to collect every month?
Every month, I wouldn't have the figures here, but I'm almost certain that those are figures.
No, it's a question of calculation. 600 divided by 18 months gives you 33 billion shillings. You actually believe you're collecting 33 billion shillings every month?
I actually do. And you know, part of the money is not 33 billion. It could be slightly less than that, because part of the money that is collected, you know, because we don't use all of it. The money cannot just lie in the account. So some of the monies are actually invested.
For the sake of clarity, we spoke to the chairperson of the Affordable Housing Board last week, that is Sheila Waweru, and she told us that up to June 2025, the board had collected up to 100 billion shillings. The previous period, before the financial year ending June 2025, they had collected about 34 billion shillings. So in total, they have collected 134 billion shillings, not 600 billion shillings.
It's a figure.
And that is why I'm asking the question. When the president makes a commitment that Kiambu County will receive 30 billion, Murang'a 23, KC 30, Nyamira another about 15 billion shillings. That's already 100 billion shillings. And he's making, just a moment, he's making commitments of nearly 100 billion shillings, and the board has only collected 134 billion shillings. Where does that leave the other 43 counties?
What we need to appreciate first is the budgeting process of this country is not an accrual system. It is actually on a cash basis. So when we budget, we are not saying we already have that money. We budget knowing that we anticipate to collect that money. So from the money is already collected plus what we are going to collect in this financial year, because even the budget of this year, we are estimating to collect certain revenue. Of that revenue, we know that part of it is going to be the affordable housing money. I do not want to commit and say the figures that have been collected are 600 or 300 because I don't have the figures
they are not.
With me here. I don't have.
Spoke to the board,
but it is something CEO. I can actually inquire and come back to you.
I'm telling you, you don't need to. We spoke to the CEO of Affordable Housing Board. She would know. Her name is Sheila Waweru. She was here, sitting where you're sitting. See, she spoke about 134 billion shillings. And the question I'm asking you, is it fair for the president to promise Kenyans that projects worth 600 billion shillings will be built because money has been collected, while the truth is that it's not been collected?
And what do we have in our budget? If we have projects worth 600 billion, then it will be done.
Have you seen them? Have you seen, in the current budget, 25-26, have you seen 600 billion shillings for housing?
What I know is there are projects that are going to be implemented in the housing project, the housing agenda. I did not specifically pick how much that was, but they are there.
I can assure you it's not 600 billion shillings. It's just about 100 billion shillings or so. I'll get you the correct figure. Okay. But Mheshimiwa Mbui, talk to us about, let's first listen to the statement he made to Murang'a delegation.
Every big township in Kenya today, the largest housing estate in affordable housing. Kisumu, Homa Bay, Eldoret, Nakuru, Kericho, Murang'a, hapa Makenji, kule Nyeri, mkienda Ruringu, pale karibu na Ruringu, tunajenga nyumba 5,000 hapo Nyeri town. Tunajenga nyumba Machakos, Mombasa, everywhere. Tuko na sites, 215 sites across Kenya. Soko tunajenga soko 400 Kenya mzima. Hostels tunajenga ya watoto 170,000. Hostels ya vijana wetu.
So, Mheshimiwa Mbui, how many housing units are in Kathiani?
Some we have none, and I don't know when we will be reached, but listening to the president, I want to advise that running government is not an easy thing. It requires a lot of planning and, strategic planning, where, the head of state and a team must sit and do plans for the economy, for the health of our nation, for the education of our people, and even, other infrastructure. But when you look at the president from before the election up to now, he's still doing his business in public barazas. I have said today that when you have 10,000 teachers in State House, that's not a discussion, that's not a meeting, that's a public baraza. And some what happens in public barazas is that the participants have only two options, either to cheer or to jeer. They really cannot be able to make a contribution that can be meaningful. And look at those delegations from all over the country. They are public barazas. So what he has done, and I'm very happy, Daily Nation today has hit the nail on the head. The headline says, campaign podium. What he has done is moved from the top of his vehicle and the markets of the country and taken the same meetings to State House. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because if you look at the promises that the president has been making, the simple calculation that you've queried here, if he was to go and do the same, because I'm expecting that he's going to meet people from all corners of the country, then he requires trillions to be able to fulfill this obligation. And yet he's continuing to speak. Because he will not stop. He will still, and I'll tell you this, he's promising these houses he's promising them to teachers, he's going to promise them to doctors, he's going to promise them to mamambogas, to border soccer players. He's going to be promising these houses to everyone. Now, the problem is that what I think the president needs to do is sit down and start planning. The reason we are failing as a country, in my opinion, is because we don't spend time planning. When Ruto came to office, he started a funding model for the university. This thing failed. The one introduced bans and said that the children from poor families will get almost free education. Those that come from well-off families will have to pay something. But that system failed. In fact, recently I see they've kind of reversed and gone back to where we started. When SHA was introduced, we told them, take time. Let us get these things right. They rushed the process. Now everybody is shouting out there and saying that, this thing of SHA is not what we thought it was. There are mistakes, there are problems. We are going to take people to jail. So my opinion is that I think what the president needs to do is stop playing politics throughout. I'm telling you right now, Kenya is in campaign mode. You cannot be able to achieve much politically and even economically for the country when you're constantly campaigning. I only wish that William Ruto, after he was sworn in as president, sat down and decided to come with a plan to develop the country. But what he has done is for the last 3 years, he's been on the campaign trail. And remember, he had been on the campaign trail for 5 years before that. After Uhuru was just, was sworn in for the second term, he started his campaign immediately. So the problem we are facing as a country is that we are constantly campaigning as opposed to running the country. I would want to advise the president, please, slow down. Stop these delegations. Go into the office. You have good offices in State House, a beautiful office in Harambee House. Make use of those offices and come up with policy that can help the country. Stop the public barazas, whether in the markets or in State House. I don't think they're helping us.
Now, Mheshimiwa Kitani, I looked at the budget that you passed, you as a house, not you as an individual.
I actually have the figures.
Can we read together?
Yes.
That?
Now, the 2024-25 State Department for Housing had 82 billion. And 2025-26 State Department for Housing is 123 billion. That is what has been passed.
Okay. The figure I have from the budget statement of the Cabinet Secretary is 128.3 billion shillings for the housing, urban development and public works. But as they say, the devil is in the details, because 64.5 billion shillings has been allocated to affordable housing units. I'll read another figure of social housing, which is 10.5 billion shillings. Social and physical infrastructure, 16.5 billion shillings. Kenya informal settlement project phase 2, 7.2 billion shillings, and 3.5 billion shillings housing units for the National Police Service and the Kenya prisons. So my question is, If 64.5 billion shillings is their money allocated to affordable housing units, how then do you announce 30 billion shillings for Kiambu, 30 billion shillings for Kisii, 23 billion shillings for Murang'a?
Wow. Because some of the projects already started and they were in the last financial year. So you've only read for the current projects that are going to happen. But remember, by the time the president is talking about them, some of them are already in the works. Like if, for example, he announced projects, affordable housing in my constituency, it's already happening. And it happened from the last financial year, not from this current financial year.
These are commitments.
Yes. No. Not all of them are commitments.
Okay, let me say what I'm saying. What the president said at State House, those are commitments. To actualize them, you need to finance them. Yes. You only finance through the budget, don't you?
Yes.
How did he say? We are going to build or we are building? Because some already started and some are going to be started.
Can I speak on this? Because I can see...
Just a moment, I'll get to you. Let's first get clarity. The clip on Kisii and Kiambu, let's listen to what the president said so that you are not being unfair to the statement. Yeah, let's hear him again.
We are going to build 10,000 units in Kisii town, so that you begin to internalize how Kisii town is going to look when you see Mukuru. Tumeweka kujenga hostels ambayo I will come in the course of next month or the month after kuzianzisha 9,040 units ambayo itapatia nafasi ya watoto wenu. Tumeweka another 4.5 billion. A total, kwa hiyo program tatu, a total of 40 billion shillings katika Kiambu County.
Natume. What's your point?
So the point is that some of the projects are already started, some are going to be started, and when you start a project, like for example a housing project, it is a multi-year project, it's not a one-year project, all right? So if I have the seed capital and I know that this project, I'm going to budget it for the next 3 years or for the next 5 years, because not all projects will be finished in 1 year.
Right.
The housing, for example, that started in Aldai constituency in the last financial year is supposed to be 9 floors, it's now on 3rd floor. And we are already in the next financial year. So the monies to continue are in the next financial year, which is current financial year. And chances are it will be finished in the next financial year. So if a project is going to be in a multi-year, then you talk about the total sum of that project, what it's going to be. So in this case, there are budgets for this year, there were for last year, and there will be some for next year. But we know that any projects that have already been started will have to be finished. And we've seen projects that have already been started and finished.
All right.
Yes.
According to the Affordable Housing Board CEO, it is only 1,400 units that have been started during President Ruto's tenure and completed during President Ruto's tenure. The promise is 200,000.
That was from last year. That was from last year. But even as we
speak, since William Ruto became president, 1,400 started and completed.
Yes.
The others were a carryover from President Uhuru Kenyatta's tenure. But also it's interesting how your answer has evolved from we have 600 billion shillings now to we will have, but it's all fine. Mheshimiwa Milemba, your take on this, and I don't know how many units are going on in Emuhaya.
One, you have really belabored to deal with something that finally Mheshimiwa has just dealt with. You know, all these are members of parliament. And when we are budgeting, because we are doing it now, we should do it. I don't know what the timelines are. There'll be
it's about now.
I mean the budgeting of even just CDF.
Yes.
We shall do projects. We shall budget that we are building 16 schools, for instance. And those 16 schools will be estimated that we are building in 5 years or in 2 years or in 1 year, depending on what it is. So the allocations of monies to these schools does not necessarily reflect what should be the total funding immediately. So I was sorry when I saw, but I want to thank Honorable. You finally hammered it down. When you are budgeting, you begin with the seed money, you begin with the process of beginning, and then at another year you go on like, because this is not an episode that will begin in the morning and end in the evening, 30 billion.
Okay.
So anyway, that one is already spent. Because that's what we are going to do also as members of parliament. You can look in my eyes. We shall not pay for the gorofas I'm doing in Emuhaya in 1 day. Thank you. So my question is what? I got a little bit so...
I asked a specific question.
Please give me my
How many
question.
affordable housing units do you have in Emuhaya?
Oh, no. Emuhaya, we haven't gotten any. We have our promissory notes of Luanda. And then in Vihiga, we have units that are coming up. Those are about 300. They are in Vihiga. They are now getting complete. They could be at about 90-something%. We have Amisi not yet.
Yeah.
And therefore, I've spoken about the entire county of Vihiga where I come from.
So an estimate of how many are going on?
320, and there are about
320 units.
About 90%.
Does that bother you that a county like Kisii has a commitment of 15,000 units at a cost of 30 billion and only 324
That
your
is
county?
the business of all these parliamentarians, because when it comes now to deal with the appropriation, this vision of how resources should go, it should actually be really our business. And I think finally...
How is it your business? There's already a commitment to leaders.
One, there's a commitment, and then there's what will happen in the house itself. Yeah, you can look in my eyes. These are issues. So finally, it will come to the house for division. And the commitment so said, in fact, there's no need even to get surprised about the commitment. If you are committing that you are building a school, like I'll be doing a story building for a Sibuye. Now, that one will take about possibly 19 million.
Yep.
And I can speak about the 19 million, which is the total cost, but for now I've taken there about 8 million. It means in the subsequent years I'll be paying. Finally, I'll get to 20 billion. So we really must not just discuss the promissory notes or the estimates of the total amount vis-a-vis the actual figure. The actual figures take time. You don't build houses.
So then, that's interesting.
It should be very interesting.
You're saying we shouldn't talk about the promissory note?
When I'll be in the Sibuye market, and I'm going today in the evening, I'll tell them I'm building a gorofa here worth 19 million. But I will give 5 or 6 million.
Yes.
Next year, if it's 3 years, I'll give another.
So the gorofa is funded by what?
CDF.
CDF.
So if the president goes to Kisii and says, we shall be building here houses, and this is practical, you don't need to get perturbed. Well, we shall be building here houses worth 30 million. Give him even B if you wish. And then he's given a certain amount, which is not the 30. And then the estimate is how long are they going to be built? So you now budget for them every financial year. And that's what you do in this country. That's what budgeting is. Then they are complete. Construction, even if you were to give all the money, 30, are you using billion or million?
B.
Thank you. Even if you were to give all the 30, and these are parliamentarians, consumption would not occur. How would they consume 30 in 2 days, 6 months? So in budgeting, you spread so that consumption occurs. And then you keep feeding.
So then, reflecting on what you just said, that don't focus on the promissory note, focus on what's happening on the ground. What does that then say about the commitments you got yourself as teachers?
Thank you very much, and you have taken me back to my issues. So there was the issue of capitation. Capitation, remember, we have argued over it like forever. Mbui has been a champion of capitation, and we were going nowhere completely until when we finally invited Mbadi, and I followed with Mbadi straight and continuously until when he said, we have sent 50% of what we should send. Then we gave him a specific question, 50% of what? And I remember vividly an officer passing a white paper to him, and he said 50% of 16,900. That's how the country rested to know that for the longest time, we have not been getting 22,200 as done by the Mwira Commission, which I sat on and presented to President Uhuru. But we have been getting 16,900 per student. Then the debate raged. I'm so proud of what Parliament did that time. When it raged, now we took that matter to the President. And the mitigation is that we shall revert to 22,200. Remember, these are teachers. And you know our ways. And we have been given a very good promise. And we have danced the way Mheshimiwa said. You know, we don't dance for nothing. You know how we go. So we dance, and I can still dance because we have been told it will be there. Now, the issues of following it is what we shall come to. Then, special school teachers. were last given any monies in our CBS.
Yes.
In Lengoboini was still at the Teacher Service Commission, 2011. There was something now. They are being remembered. You know, we keep so well these issues. So we can now not vilify our president for anything. In fact, we can clap for him. If there will be any problem, that's a question for another day. But as far as I'm concerned, this was very, very good for the special teachers because now their allowances are going to be reviewed.
All right, so I hear you.
This is very good. We don't need to vilify a person who has given a promissory note. Remember, even manifestos are just promissory notes. And then they need to be given an assessment at the end of the term. And then we now count out to say, all right, you promised us this. Like for us, we shall be waiting for the two phases. Wow. We shall deal with the rest then. Thank you.
Okay. Mheshimiwa Mushomba.
I thought you forgot me.
Oh,
I didn't. I didn't.
You know, I'm loving the way poetically Mheshimiwa Omboko is executing, trying to cover up the shortcomings of the visit, the presidential teachers delegation to State House. Mheshimiwa Omboko, you and me know very well that the president is an orator and executes his speeches in so much reality of the expected. You and me, Mheshimiwa, knows very well that even as we talk about promissory notes and manifestos, whatever a president in the office promises must be put into reality. He cannot come in presence to launch a project, abandons the project, and then the same people he does not fulfill for, collects them in buses, delivers them in his own state house to promise again. This is pure politics, Mheshimiwa. The lowest we have ever sunk as a country is when teachers, professionals, head teachers, in fact, I'm looking forward to meeting my head teachers in my constituency to go and ask them whether they were part and parcel of that delegation. Because every time I meet them, they tell me, oh, how Mheshimiwa, we are not able to run schools. In fact, I had a case of a teacher who attempted suicide. And the note he wrote, thank God we rescued his life in the process, I thank God. He said he's getting depressed because he cannot be able to run a school because of this mess of, you know, capitation, lack of capitation, and then they're told don't send kids home, and then they're told to do 1, 2, 3, and they're getting depressed. So I am shocked that Mheshimiwa Omboko is here as a teacher's representative telling us that even tomorrow he will still go to State House to dance. To dance over what? Dance over our children who are deprived capitation. Some of them have even dropped out of school. For your information, for the first time, public schools in my constituency, day public schools, were sent home to go and clear their balances, the past balances, so that they can be able to run the schools. Otherwise, the schools are going to close down.
I thought you had.
And the same teacher, and the same teachers are now telling us, we went to State House and we were promised this, we are promised this. So after he has done with the teachers and told them that he's going to fill the gap, the capitation gap, is he going to call the parents now? Because the kids that are suffering out of capitation are not a property of the teachers. They are properties of us of parents. So can the president now collect 10,000 parents, take them to State House, and go and promise them that he's going to fill capitation the way he promised teachers? And then we see the parent clapping for him. Can he then, after he's done with the parent, call the students, the learners, because they're the ones who are affected by lack of capitation? Collect 10,000 learners, put them in State House, and also promise that you're going to fill capitation. So for me, this is all politics. William Ruto has gotten to his dead end of his unkept promises. 270 unkept promises. He has only delivered 14, and I can count them if you give me time. He has failed the women of Kenya. He promised us two-thirds gender rule, fill up. He did not. He has failed us on sanitary towel promises. He has failed us on diapers. William Ruto has failed terribly, terribly. In fact, 3 years down the line, William Ruto should actually be rated as #1 failure in this country, with no apologies.
Now,
I will keep to the track.
Just hold on. I need us to hear, there were some more promises to Murang'a County on some of the amenities that will be built there?
So, tutawajengea stadium mbili. Tayari contractor anakuja stadium ya Mumbi pale Murang'a town, si ndio? Tumetoa pesa ya serikali shilingi milioni 760 tuwajengee stadium ya international ya kisasa. Pia kwa sababu nilisimama pale Kimorori pale Kagoigo, pia mutanipatia tu nafasi kidogo nifanye procurement. Kabla ya Disemba nitakuwa na contractor ya kujenga, na tumeweka pesa milioni 760 ya kujenga stadium hapo Kagoigo. Hii Kenya tayari imechelewa. Mnataka tuendelee kuchelewesha hii nchi? Si tutembeze hii Kenya ikitembea? Ama mnasemaje? Kenya itembee isitembee? Tusukume maendeleo. Sikia, universal health coverage sio mimi imekuwa kwa manifesto ya chama mingi, lakini hakuna mtu ya kuimplement kwa sababu ni ngumu. Housing imekuwa kwa manifesto ya chama mingi, lakini haijakuwa implemented kwa sababu ni ngumu. Mimi nimeamua hii ngumu yote hii, wacha mimi nifanye. Tafadhali munisamee kama nimewakosea. Pengine wale wengine walinitangulia wangesamehewa. Mwingine angesema sikuwa na elimu ya kutosha. Mwingine angesema nilikuwa mzee. Mwingine angesema sikuelewa sana. Lakini mimi nitasema nini? I have no reason. Niko na experience ya kutosha. Nimekuwa mjumbe miaka 15. Nimekuwa naibu wa rais miaka 10. Sio experience inatosha? Mimi sio mzee sana. Si mimi ni kijana, mimi naelewa kufanya maneno. Ama namna gani? Mimi nimesoma ya kutosha. Hatujawahi kuwa na daktari ambaye ni rais wa nchi. Mimi, si ndio? Mimi ni mtu naelewa. Mimi nimezaliwa huko mashinani. Sasa shida ya Kenya mimi naelewa. Sasa mimi nitasema nimekosa kufanya hii kazi kwa sababu gani?
Okay. Many promises and
Zero performance.
recitation of the rich qualifications of the president. 720 million shillings for an international stadium in Murang'a County. International stadium.
And not just in Murang'a. I think there is one that is happening right here in Dagoretti there. You've seen it.
Talanta.
The Talanta, yes. And all those stadiums.
It's 44 billion shillings.
Yes. And it's going on. And it's actually going on.
You can see the contrast.
No, it's going on.
44 billion shillings for an international one here.
Yes.
But an international one in Murang'a is 720 million shillings.
And there is one even in my constituency for about 55 million shillings. There are many.
It's also international?
It's not international, but it's a sports stadium.
Okay.
It's a sports academy. So what am I saying? There's the monies that are being used to do these sports facilities is actually from the sports fund. And what the president has done on the sports fund is similar to what he did on the RMLF fund, the securitization of the RMLF fund, so that some portion of the RMLF fund, so that he can be able to expand and do roads. I know roads it's told, and because of securitization, he's been able to raise about, the first tranche was about 175 billion, which has made contractors go back to the road. In the similar breath, he's also doing a similar thing to the sports fund, so that he is able to get monies to be able to do these facilities. So when he promises a facility like this, he knows that the fund is going to help at least give him the monies to be able to start and complete that particular project.
Okay.
And I think in all fairness to him, we are judging him 3 years down the road. And in 3 years down the road, so many, like development projects, a lot of them don't happen in one flash, in 1 year. So most of them, right now is when they are kicking in. Right now is when most of them are coming up. Like the one that is in Dagoretti, the one that we know, the international one, it started about last year, last year. No, the year before. And where it is now, they say it's about 65%. And it is going to be complete by 2027. So you see, this is a multi-year project. So for me, I think in the promises that he's giving, especially on the sports facilities, he knows where the fund is coming from, which is from the sports fund, and it is not direct from what is collected. He is securitizing that so that he's able to get funding that can now be able to commence and complete these projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Mheshimiwa
Sam, when I listen to this story of securitization that Kenya Kwanza regime keeps, throwing in our face, fancy words, really what the president is doing is borrowing. He's actually borrowing and circumventing the process of borrowing. So money for RMLF, he borrows it well in advance and gets money from commercial banks and then does projects now so that he can use that money to pay back in the future. Unfortunately, Sam, even on RMLF, that money is supposed to be for maintaining roads. The minute you do that, then how will you have funds to maintain roads in the future? So some of these things just, we are being taken around in circles. But I'm happy to note that the members of Kenya Kwanza here have confirmed that the president is not intending to fulfill his promises now. He's actually making a promise for the future. He's got only less than 2 years to go to leave office, but then we are being told the promises he's making of 30 billion, 100 billion will be fulfilled by other leaders after he leaves office in 2027. Because the next election is 2027. We are very confident that he will lose that election. So basically, he cannot be then making promissory notes and then committing us who will be in government at that time to be making, to be fulfilling his promises. What a president should do is when he's in office, he should fulfill whatever he can do within that period and stop promising beyond. And Kaitani here said that, we shouldn't judge him after 3 years. The president himself said, I put the Bible down, I will sort out this country. He talked about the first 100 days. He talked about the first 1 year. We are talking 3 years down the road. He never told us that, I'll sort your problems out in 10 years. He told us he'll sort out our problems immediately. But some I'm also concerned, and I listened to Honorable Mboko here, and I'm happy he says that I'm one of the people that supports him to support teachers. And I'll help you because I'm sure that when it comes to implementation of the promises, you'll be talking to us and Wamushomba in the house, because I am certain that some of those things will not be fulfilled. But I will tell you this, Mboko. What the president needs to also address is the fact that even the capitation that is supposed to be given, that is not coming, is not even enough to fulfill the obligations of education. In primary schools, children are allocated 1,470 shillings. And within that money is the money to pay watchmen and staff of that school, money to do maintenance of the school. Then there are activities like, for example, things like exams, which have become more expensive because now they have to get out there, get Wi-Fi, and print out these exams. There are things like music festivals, activities, music festivals, sports facilities. How does 1,000 shillings... And I did a calculation here some time back. 1,470 if a school has like 200 children. That's about 200,000 and something. It is not enough to run the school. It is not enough at all. So even the capitation we are getting is little, yet it doesn't even all of it come. So I think we have a problem. What Wamushomba said is that the president is a good orator. He has a way of giving, a picturesque speech and people think, wow. Even Kisi said, can you imagine now when those 15,000 units are done? And everybody there is imagining, huge projects there. But these things will be done by the next regime. All
right. Now, Mheshimiwa Milemba, I want us to close with the feedback, but you said that there are 500,000 teachers in Kenya. I don't know if you want to stand with that figure, because statistics are showing something different.
It's okay, TSC can give you, there's no problem.
Yeah, so I see figures of about 212,000 for primary.
212?
For primary.
Okay. Secondary
school, about 130.
Very well.
Inclusive of teachers training colleges. And TSC registered about 370,000, unless we are mistaken.
That data is wrong. Even if mine is wrong, but yours is already wrong. Why? Yeah, it's already wrong.
So how many teachers are in primary?
I'll just speak about that because I don't have the data now. We can just do a tap to the Teacher Service Commission. We can get the data if we wish. But let me prove to you why even the data is wrong.
Yeah.
I suspect he has followed the membership of the unions, because that's almost how they lose. But you know, there are many other teachers outside there. We have the JSS who are not in the unions and so on and so forth. So you need to get the data right. I also need to get the data right. But I have many issues here for me.
No. Let's take a look at the feedback that has come to us at Citizen TV. Kenya Samgi took their
because I was given a heavy load of how to deal with this.
Like Sean Laban, you need to be coming to the show more.
You're not giving me a right of reply.
Just hold on.
I'm surprised.
The State House has turned into a campaign arena under the guise of empowerment and negotiations. Unbudgeted millions are being dished out to woo Kenyans. After the youth protest, Ruto is seeking legitimacy, not orderly implementation of his manifesto or adherence to the law. Sad. Frank Orinde, every group is promised something: houses, jobs, relief. But if the pledges were ever meant to be viable or sustainable, we wouldn't need fresh ones every season. Maybe the sake of promises is the plan. Sir Nixon Dugere, when teachers cry on the president's shoulder for their rights and needs, does it mean that the Ministry of Education and other relevant bodies are asleep and unable to address the plight of teachers? Kisiangani, too many promises are a clear sign of lies. The president is already eyeing the 2027 polls. After that, he won't care what teachers say or want. Are the houses meant for the underprivileged or the so-called graduate teachers? Engineer Lazaro, you're saying there is no justification for troopings to State House by a few individuals just to receive pledges and promises. President Ruto should change this perception and let all Kenyans feel the impact of the so-called improvements on the ground. And like Kishon again, union leaders may call it negotiation, but 10,000 teachers at State House is nothing short of a baraza. A 100 million shilling handout is optics over substance, money that could fix capitation or pay the salaries they are demanding. The president is trading governance for campaign theatrics, misplaced priorities. Godi Baraza, President Ruto's pledges are politically motivated. It's fair to tell citizens not to keep their expectations high, because when the political waves die down, the promises will fizzle out the same way. With this regime, it's never that serious. Now, Mheshimiwa Mboko, you have asked for 20 seconds. And please answer my question, because you didn't. The source of the 100 million shillings to foot the reimbursement for teachers, why is it in the budget?
On co-curriculum activities, I want to thank Mbohi, because we discussed that. And we discussed that we have to get a new model of funding co-curriculum, because the model that is there is not working. So I really want to thank you for that. On capitation, we also discussed the issue of the fact that 5,000 is taken from the 16, which I spoke about, and taken for infrastructure, and for primary from the 1,400 and taken for sports. We discussed that this be reverted, because even the Muiria Commission, we never had envisaged that. Also, we were able to discuss on the issue of the promissory notes that you had talked about, because it came from her, and I need to really reply. In 2015, I was in Mombasa with Wilson Association, and we were given a promissory note by Uhuru Kenyatta. It made us sign a cashless CBA in 2016 with nothing. But with another promissory note that we shall sign one with money at the end of the year, we signed it in Naivasha. So when we as leaders, we push the issues of teachers to the brim, to State House, and even if we had a chance, we'd push it beyond State House to God, it is very much in order, because that is our business, to push these issues. For the first time, honorables, you'll agree that we have now pushed capitation to the brim of it. And now we can follow it in terms of results. So when we do negotiations and sign CBS, we want a commitment from the authorities that they'll be doing this for our members. And then our business is to follow. So nothing bad when you see us dance when we have been given a promissory in 1997.
1997, you say?
Or if you wish, I can also give you the example of what happened in Kabarak. So for us, we were dealing with issues of teachers, and we shall endeavor to deal with them. But of course, implementation, we shall come back to you if there are any variations, and that's what makes it.
There will be.
Okay.
I know.
Very interesting findings that we have here. And we'll continue to monitor that. So, Mboko Milemba, you may dispute data, but numbers do not lie. The figure of 130,000 is from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Economic Survey of 2025.
Honorable Brother Katuku, if you are right and I'm wrong, there's nothing.
No, I'm just saying, because you said that we need...
Franklin Delano Roosevelt
Yeah.
on statistics say,
Yeah.
give and try.
Yes.
If you are not right, accept publicly and proceed. We don't have an issue of debating on who is right on figures.
Thank you. Sorry, it's 8:04. We cannot continue beyond now. I have realized that none of you wants to deal with the question of where the source of the money to finance transport reimbursements is.
I was willing to confess that we have never budgeted any money in the National Assembly as a reimbursement for teachers, 10,000 teachers to go to State House.
But have you budgeted for transport?
We have never passed a vote
It's hurt you very bad.
called reimbursement for transport allowance for teachers to go and dance in State House.
Okay.
There is nothing like that. There is no vote like that in the National Assembly.
Thank you,
That I can confirm as a member of Parliament.
There's a vote called transport.
Who sits in National Assembly without fail?
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Miriam Kitan. You're on suspension, actually. Is it over?
No, it's over.
Mheshimiwa Robert Mbui and Mheshimiwa Mboko Milemba, thank you so much for making time for us to have this conversation. See you again some other time. My name is Sam Gituku. Bye for now.